The best problems are the ones that never happen in the first place, or what do you think? That's exactly why you're watching this video and following the channel. Besides burglars and severe weather, there's another danger lurking in your home. I'm talking about hidden damage caused by lack of maintenance. The best part? I'm going to show you exactly how to prevent this damage. Let's start where it matters most in an emergency, with the devices that warn you before you notice anything yourself. Press the test button on your smoke detector because a device with a dead battery looks exactly the same from the outside as one that's working, and the test button checks not only the battery but the entire signal path from the sensor to the alarm sound. If you have gas heating, a fireplace, or a garage attached to your house, you should also test the carbon monoxide detector at the same time and place it where bedrooms are nearby, not directly above the appliance itself. Carbon monoxide is odorless and colorless, and that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. Without a working detector, you often don't notice it until it's already too late. Since you already have your finger on the test button, it's worth taking the next step, because almost every modern electrical installation has a very similar procedure hidden away, only this time for the entire circuit. Please be careful when working with these devices. If you have any questions, consult a qualified electrician or look for reliable information online. These are electrical devices, so caution is important. Under normal circumstances, nothing should happen, as this is a safety device designed to be pressed and tested regularly to ensure it is functioning correctly. The GFCI circuit breaker protects you from electric shock if a fault occurs anywhere in the house. For example, if moisture gets into an appliance and pressing its test button, usually labeled with T, should immediately cut off the power to the affected area. Then you simply flip it back up. The whole test takes less than 10 seconds. If it doesn't trip during the test, that's a clear reason to call an electrician, because a switch that looks fine but doesn't respond in an emergency is more dangerous than having none at all, since it gives you a false sense of security. In many homes, the fuse box with the GFCI switch is located in the basement, and that's exactly where the next point comes into play. Walk slowly through the room and look for things that may be so familiar to you that you hardly notice them anymore. Dark spots on the walls or floor, a faint musty odor, or paint peeling in one spot. The corners behind stored boxes or furniture are particularly revealing because that's exactly where moisture damage often develops first, since no one checks there regularly. Grab a flashlight and shine it directly into these corners. Such signs develop over months before becoming a real problem, and that's exactly why a monthly check is so valuable. You notice the change because you know what's normal. In this room, you should also keep an eye on the water meter, as it reveals more about the condition of your pipes than most homeowners realize. Record the reading once a month, preferably at a time when no one is using water for a few hours, such as at night. Many modern meters also have a small leak indicator, often a tiny triangle or wheel that spins even with minimal, continuous flow, even when no one is using a faucet. If your usage increases significantly compared to the previous month without any change in your habits, this could indicate a hidden leak somewhere in the plumbing. Even a slightly leaky toilet valve can waste several liters over the course of a month without anyone in the house ever noticing. Let's leave the basement and head up to the kitchen, where there are several things to check at once. Take a look at the connections under the sink and also check the faucet itself to see if there's any moisture or a slight limescale buildup at the base, which could indicate a small but persistent drip. Here's a simple trick. Place a dry paper towel under each connection for a few minutes, because even the slightest moisture will immediately show up as a dark spot. Take the same look under the sinks in the bathroom and utility room. A single drop per second may seem harmless, but over the course of a month, it adds up to several liters, visible on your water bill and invisible as persistent moisture in the cabinet below. While the faucet is running anyway, it's best to move right on to the next step, because whatever comes out at the top has to drain out at the bottom. Watch how quickly the water disappears. If it slows down noticeably, it means something is already building up in the pipe. Usually a mixture of hair, soap scum, and grease, which can develop into a complete clog over time. A simple first step without chemicals is to slowly pour in hot water. This often reliably dissolves light buildup. In the bathroom, it's also worth taking a look at the toilet. If the floor around the base feels slightly damp, or if it wobbles slightly when you sit down, this is often an early sign of a leaky seal that damages the floor underneath before anything is even visible. Also, listen briefly to see if the tank really comes to a complete stop after flushing. A valve that runs quietly can waste water all day long. Let's stay in the kitchen for a moment, because hanging directly above the stove is a device that very few people pay regular attention to, even though it runs several times a day. The grease filter in the range hood absorbs a little grease every time you cook, and after a few weeks, it becomes so saturated that the hood loses its efficiency, and, in the worst case, heated grease can even catch fire. You can often tell when it's time to clean it just by looking at it. If the filter becomes sticky or takes on a yellowish tint, it's time. If you have a recirculating model instead of a true exhaust system, don't forget the additional activated carbon filter, which needs to be replaced separately and is often overlooked during grease filter checks. Most grease filters can be easily removed and cleaned in the dishwasher or with hot water. Once a month is perfectly sufficient. Speaking of maintenance, something that's easy to overlook. You should take a closer look at the windows throughout your entire home, not just in the kitchen. Run your finger along the seals around windows and French doors and check whether the material still feels soft and flexible or has become hard and brittle. On a slightly windy day, you can also wedge a narrow strip of paper into the closed frame. If it slides out without resistance, the seal is no longer airtight at that point. Don't forget the door thresholds either, because just as much heat is often lost there as at the windows themselves. A damaged seal not only lets heat escape and cold air in, but in heavy rain, it may also let water in, which then seeps unnoticed into the masonry and causes damage there over months. In many homes, the path from the windows leads almost automatically to the laundry room, where you'll find a potential hazard that is a common cause of house fires in some countries. The lint filter in the dryer catches most of the fibers that come loose during each drying cycle, but not all of them. Some of them accumulate in the exhaust hose and inside the machine itself. Clean the filter after every use and check the hose once a month as well. And when you go outside, take a look at the external exhaust vent on the house wall, because that is exactly where lint often accumulates unnoticed, remaining invisible from the inside. A dryer that is working against a blockage gets hotter than intended, and that is precisely one of the most common causes of fires that start directly inside the appliance itself. In many homes, the heating or air conditioning unit is located right next to the dryer, and here too, it pays to take a quick look every month. A dirty filter forces the system to use significantly more energy to achieve the same performance, which directly affects your electricity bill and also shortens the unit's lifespan. In air conditioners, a clogged filter can even cause the cooling coils to freeze over. Hold the filter up to the light. If you can barely see through it, it's time to clean or replace it. How often this is necessary depends largely on whether you have pets in the house. In some households, changing it every 3 months is sufficient, while in others, it's necessary monthly. Simply write the date of the last change directly on the frame with a pen. In many homes, the path from the furnace in the basement or utility room eventually leads all the way up to the attic, and there, too, there's something that deserves a regular check. Bring a flashlight and look for damp spots or discoloration on the underside of the roof, especially around penetrations like chimneys, skylights, or vent pipes, because that's exactly where most small leaks start. A musty smell that wasn't there before is also a sign you should investigate. Also check the insulation. Is it still even, or does it look compressed or shifted in some places? This can indicate both moisture and uninvited guests. Always walk only on the load-bearing beams. Attics are often not entered for months, and that's exactly what makes them a place where problems can develop unnoticed for a particularly long time. Since you're already up there, it's worth taking a look out the attic window or climbing a ladder to check outside, because that's where one of the most overlooked items on this entire list awaits. Clogged gutters, stuffed with leaves, moss, or small branches, can no longer drain rainwater properly, and instead, it runs over the edge and down the side of the house. It is precisely this water that, over time, can seep into the basement and cause the moisture we discussed earlier. Pay attention not only to the gutters themselves, but also to the downspouts, because if they get clogged, the water ends up collecting exactly where it's least welcome, right at the foundation. This check is especially important shortly after the first heavy rain in the fall, when freshly fallen leaves often completely clog the gutters within a few days. Let's leave the roof and head back outside to the garage, where the next item on the list awaits you. A modern garage door has a safety feature that automatically reverses the door if something is in its path, and you should test this feature once a month by placing a sturdy object, such as a piece of wood, in the way as the door closes. If the door doesn't react and simply continues to close, this is a safety hazard that can be particularly dangerous for children and pets and should be repaired promptly by a professional service. While you're at it, also check to see if you can find the manual emergency handle on the opener and know how it works. In the event of a power outage, this is often the only way to open the door at all. Since you're already outside and it might be getting dark earlier this time of year, the next point practically jumps out at you. Take a walk around your house at dusk and check to make sure every outdoor light is working, including the motion sensors, which often go unnoticed until they stop working. Make sure to stand directly in front of each sensor and move slowly past it, because sometimes the problem isn't the light itself, but the detection range, which may have shifted to a completely different location than originally set due to growing plants or rearranged furniture. If you have solar-powered lights, give the small solar panel a quick wipe dust and leaves significantly reduced charging efficiency without being visible from the outside. In previous videos on this channel, a continuously lit facade was already one of the easiest ways to make a house less interesting from the outside to anyone approaching without authorization. And when the outdoor lights come on, that's the perfect moment to tackle the last item on the list, which brings us back to the main focus of this channel. Open the app for your camera or alarm system and check whether all devices are still online, whether the batteries still have enough charge, and whether the recordings from the past few days have actually been saved and aren't just showing a blank live feed. While you're at it, take a look at the lens itself. Cobwebs, dust, or fogged glass are among the most common reasons why a camera is online, but still delivers hardly any usable footage. To be on the safe side, send yourself a test notification to make sure it actually arrives on your phone and isn't being silently blocked somewhere. A system that runs inconspicuously in the background can just as inconspicuously stop working until the moment it's really needed. 15 points. A single walkthrough of your home that might take 20 to 30 minutes depending on its size. But it's precisely those few minutes that often determine whether a small problem stays small or turns into something that costs you thousands of dollars and weeks of effort. Some of these points may seem unspectacular at first glance. A filter here, a quick test there, but it's precisely these little things that make the difference between a home that's a constant source of worry and one that just works. The easiest way is to set aside one fixed day each month for this. Eventually, the walkthrough will become routine without you even having to think about it. For more videos like this one that protect you, your family, and your wallet from unnecessary worries, subscribe to Homeowner Secrets. Until then, stay safe.